This movie got really great reviews from critics, but the audiences didn't really know about it. Like, it didn't do very well at the box office, so a lot of people kind of forgot that this film existed. So let me just go ahead and fill you guys in. It's the movie about a male stripper having to team up with a Jedi Sith Master as they have to break James Bond out of prison and then go and rob the Winter Soldier, who is in the employment of Peter Griffin. Am I forgetting anybody in here? Batman's girlfriend is the male stripper's ex-wife. There you go. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
That would have been a way better opening joke if I could remember that many pop culture references all at once. Damn, there's a lot in here.
Yeah, just break out the IMDb and you're just...
This movie has got crazy, like... I don't even want to say, like, they're cameos, because they're not. They're in here way too long to be cameos.
Yeah, they're like actual, like, actors.
They're actual, but, like, people will pop up in here and you're like, I'm sorry, what? Like, Hilary Swank just appears suddenly out of nowhere at the end of this film, and I'm like, well, that's, you know, she's worked with this director before. That's a nice little cameo for her to show up for this one scene. No, she gets like half an hour at the end of this movie. It's like, you're just breaking out Hilary Swank at the end of this movie? Yeah, hey everyone, it is time again for the quest for the best, our look back at all the films that everyone called the best films of the previous year, in which we watched them all back to back to back to back. We are now watching Logan Lucky, because the only other film that I have left to watch for this is Detroit, and I didn't want to be really sad and depressed tonight.
We'll save that for another time.
Detroit isn't the only one I have left, but it's the only one that isn't in theaters at the moment. I have to go and see The Post, Lady Bird, maybe that's World War II, Churchill thing. I don't know. There were so many World War II films that came out last year. No one's even talking about that, but there were a ton. Sorry.
Also, there's a lot of heist movies that came out last year.
Oh, really?
Well, there's this, and then there's Good Time, and there's like...
Yeah, you are not kidding. This is almost like the fun, upbeat, southern version of Good Time.
Yeah.
This is like Good Time if it had like a classical story structure to it and it made you want to enjoy the film rather than feel... People told me Good Time was meant to be a dark comedy. Ooh, to all the people who told me that, oh man, that says a lot about you. This film though is a legit comedy.
Yeah.
And dark comedy too, because a lot of it is at the expense of people.
And it's like, there weren't a lot of laughs, but like there were good solid laughs scattered throughout it.
Yeah, whenever there was a laugh, it was a big laugh.
Yeah.
This film had my favorite joke of the year. Probably the longest laugh I got at any movie this year was this. But basically, this film, it stars Channing Tatum and Adam Driver, who are brothers, but they're brothers, members of the Logan family, and the Logan family is known in West Virginia for having a family curse of being incredibly unlucky. There's a moment in here in which they just start laying out like their entire family history of like, well, this happened to this person, this happened to this person, this happened to this person. I went to Iraq and I lost my arm. You got into a car accident, now you've got a limp for the rest of your life. And the film starts off with Channing Tatum losing his job because Jerry from not The Office, the better version of The Office, Parks and Rec. See, I could get one more pop reference and pop culture reference. But because Jerry from Parks and Rec said, yeah, listen man, I just gotta tell you, we're gonna let you go because we saw you limping to your car and that's considered a pre-existing condition and we don't want to have to cover that. And I was like, damn, that's cold. But he's working in construction at the new Charlotte Motor Speedway that they are building. Which, it's weird that they live in West Virginia and he's working in construction down in Charlotte. It's like, holy cow, is that like normal for Charlotte?
Yeah, North Carolina, Charlotte. Like, I don't know if...
What other Charlotte?
I don't know. There might be like several other like towns out in the U.S. named Charlotte, so I just want to like clarify it's in North Carolina.
Yes, all those other Charlottes with motor speedways with giant NASCAR stadiums in them. Weird that there's so many of them here in America. But yes, so I found that odd. Is that like normal for construction guys? I don't know. If you're in construction, let me know. Do you have to travel like 2 states over to do work? That's odd.
I don't know.
Seems really, really tough. But yeah, so he gets fired from that. And so one night he is just at the bar where his brother works and he's just getting into an argument with Seth MacFarlane, who plays this horribly cartoonish, even for Seth MacFarlane, horribly cartoonish British celebrity. You never find out what he does either.
Like, he sells like energy drinks, I think, so he sponsors like a racer.
He's sponsoring one of the racers at this NASCAR event, who's played by Sebastian Stan, which if you want to talk about just celebrities popping up out of nowhere, Sebastian Stan pops up in here as the race car driver and is like, oh, he's gonna have a big part.
Not
he has
really.
just a big enough part in here that, again, it's not a cameo, it's an actual character.
Yeah, it's like...
But still, it's like, you could have gotten nobody for that, and you got Sebastian Stan? Alright. But basically, he gets into this argument with the cartoon Seth MacFarlane, and earlier that day, his wife, played by Katie Holmes, again, big name celebrity, just in here for a little bit to be like, you're not seeing your daughter. And like, hold it. How do you get these people for a day for this? But yeah, she's like, listen, we're moving. And listen, you can still see your daughter's like, but that's so much further away from me. And he says that he's going to get a lawyer to fight this, but he has no money for this. So basically that night, he just decides, you know, screw it. Where I was working, I know the layout underneath the motor speedway. And all the cash that they take, it flows through tubes, just like at the bank. Or if the bank still does that, I don't know anymore. But it flows through these tubes, goes into the bank vault. We can blow that up. We could then suck all that money out. We would get all the money from one of the biggest sporting events of the year. And his brother is, I don't want to say any of these people are stupid, but they give you that sense that they're not that common. Actually, no, there's two people in here who are flat out dumb. They're in here to make everyone else look smarter in this film. But yeah, nobody in here seems stupid. They just seem like they don't really want to do it. And they're not like, these are not the sleek, suave Ocean's 11 guys in like tuxedos, and they've got like the giant chartboard like, here's everything that we're gonna do, and we're gonna break down everybody's role in here. This is a whole lot of just going and just winging it, basically is what it seems like. Yeah. Except that they're not. This is like a brilliant plan when you actually find out the plan.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's like these people come from like very low places, basically. Like, I mean,
this is the Workin' Joe version of Ocean's 11 is what it is.
I mean, they were referred to as like the hillbilly heist and like the redneck robbers.
Well, it's not even because they're like Southern. It's because like these are poor, like, don't have anything, just working their hardest every single day type of characters. They're not the guys who's like, well, we need this equipment, so we're going to do all this stuff, and we have this, and we have these connections over in Russia, they're going to do this, and we have this guy over in China who will do this, and we're going to fly in this trapeze artist for this. It's a bunch of guys like, well, I know a guy, but he's already in prison, so I guess we're going to have to figure out a way to bust him out of prison.
Pretty much.
Well, I guess we gotta get arrested first. And it's like, it is a whole lot like, well, it's gonna go down like this. And Adam Driver has the best attitude towards all this, in which he's just like, listen, I see you got that look in your eye. And you cook the bacon just the way that I like it, so I know you're gonna ask me for this favor. And like, he's got that attitude of, I don't wanna do this, but I know you're gonna ask me. So I guess I'm gonna do this. It's very much just like moseying along, just, well,
here we go again.
That's the tone. Yeah, it's like, what's my fool brother gonna get me to do now?
Because it's like, you definitely get the sense that like his brother is always like up to these like shenanigans, which is how
you also get the sense that his brother was the star of the family. Not just because like they go into the details of like, okay, he was going to be a football star, he was going to go into the NFL if he didn't mess up his leg, and you were the younger brother and all this. You get the sense that that's the way it was, because he's Adam Driver and his older brother is Channing Tatum. Just seeing that and you're like, well, it's nothing against Adam Driver, but I mean, like, he's Channing Tatum. You can just tell from seeing the two of them, it's like, yeah, you used to always have to live up to his expectations. The bar was set real high on that first kid. But yeah, so they have to basically, it starts off with these two brothers, and then they have to go and figure out, okay, who can help us break into a bank vault? Only guy they know is this guy named Joe Bang, and it's played by Daniel Craig And I often say that British people can do pretty good American accents. They can't do the Southern accent very well. Holy crap. He nailed this. If there is anything that this movie should be nominated for at the Oscars, it is Daniel Craig for Best Supporting Actor for this guy. He disappears into this character. I had to keep constantly reminding myself, that's James Bond up there. That was an amazing
And
role.
it's not just like the accent either, it's like his character,
Yeah.
just his character in general was really great.
There's a moment of him in the backseat of the car in which you just see like his face and it's like just a close up on his face and it's like, that does not look like this guy. Like all the tattoos they covered him in, just like the extra like sunburnt tan that he gave himself, like that's not a fake tan. Like you can tell he walked around in the sun to get like that. Which he's in prison, he probably wouldn't have that kind of a tan, but still I was like, no, that looks like you work in the sun.
I don't know,
was
there's like outside recreations in prison.
not for that many hours a day. But yeah, he nailed it. Like all of his mannerisms, the way they talked, is like, dude, you sound like somebody from this area. And I say that as someone from that era. If I was standing next to Daniel Craig from this movie, and you said, which one of them is secretly the Southern guy pretending to be someone, which one of them is secretly the British guy pretending to be someone from the South, no way would you think it was him. So yeah, they have to get him, but he's like, well, I got two brothers, and they need a job. Basically, it almost seems like he's asking them to get the brothers, not because they're important and because they have skills, but just as like, yeah, my stupid idiot brothers.
Like,
give them a job.
it's like they're idiots, but they're my idiots. I need.
They need work. They need something to do. And the first time you see these guys, it's at the county fair, and they're at like a dunking for pig's feet competition.
Yeah, it's like bobbing for apples, but it's pig's feet instead.
This is most, listen, I grew up in the South. I went to these county fairs every single year when they rolled around. I've never seen this. Like, this is more Southern than I was.
Yeah, like, I can't tell if this was like an exaggeration or if this actually is how it is.
I would not be shocked if it actually, like, because I've seen stuff close enough to this. Not at actual county fairs.
Yeah.
More at like little tiny, like, fairs that people put on in their backyards.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an actual term for that, but that was the thing that would pop up every now and again. And again, I never saw this, but I saw stuff just close enough that I'm like, yeah, that's a thing. It's gotta be a thing at some place. But yeah, you see that, and they're talking to these guys and like, yeah, we need you to help rob this place. Like, well, here's the thing. They've got the thickest accents of all. Like, here's like, we got right with the Lord now. So we only do this if we have a moral obligation, and NASCAR ain't never done nothing to us. And they're like, well, it's being sponsored by this grocery store chain. I bet you've stolen from that grocery store chain before. It's like, yeah, we've stolen from there before. Yeah, well, our sister used to work there, and she used to get hit up by the guy owning the place, so we ain't got no love for the food kingdom. And then they're just going, hold on a sec. They walk away, turn to the camera. You good with this? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're in. It's like, this moral obligation thing is brilliant that was like something they gave their characters, but they're still just so sleazy. They don't care. They just, literally, if you just told them, oh, well, here's the moral reason, done. Everyone in here is such an amazing character.
Yeah.
The only one who I kind of had a problem with was the sister, though, because I kept forgetting she was in this film. And I think it's because she doesn't really do as much as everyone else. Like, she drives them from West Virginia to North Carolina, and she drives incredibly fast, and she knows a lot about cars. But you never got that sense that, like, she was the car person. You never, like, I never got the sense that she was, like, the getaway driver, which is kind of what I felt like she should have been. It seemed more like she was just, I'm the person who drives you from here to here. I was like, okay, well, aside from that and one conversation we see her having about cars, I never really got enough of a sense that she was, like, the car person. But I also think it's simply because everyone else in here is this huge, crazy personality, and she is the most stable of them all.
Yeah.
She is the most non-cartoonish person in here. Like, even Sebastian Stan, when he shows up for like 10 minutes of this movie just to be the NASCAR driver, they give him an entire montage explaining what type of person he is, in which he's like, well, here's my precise diet that I take every single day. I must keep myself as a temple and everything balanced inside of me. And it's a montage of all the stuff he eats, his special chef who prepares stuff for him doing yoga outside of his mansion.
Which is so weird, like, it's like the complete opposite of, like, the Seth MacFarlane's character.
Seth MacFarlane is in here, again, well, they're both cartoons, but everyone in here is a cartoon. But Seth MacFarlane is in there with this horrible British accent, which all I can think is you got Daniel Craig in here, someone from Britain, doing the best possible American accent, and you have the American Seth MacFarlane doing an awful British accent. But I think that was the point of him.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he was supposed to sound terrible.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he comes in here and he is just like, oh, this is my special wine that I create. We're going to have a sip of it now, a sip while driving, and then finish it all off after he wins. And then they, like, start peer pressuring Sebastian standing and drinking. He's like, no, I must keep myself pure.
And it's like,
which, by the way, speaking of somebody who grew up in the NASCAR kingdom of North Carolina, I never saw a single driver like this at all. But I'm not pointing at it as like, well, that's unrealistic. Everything in here is meant to be a cartoon, and that's a cartoon, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it was like, he mentioned something about, like, his glucose level.
Yeah.
So, and like, you know, he's sponsoring, like, an energy drink, so of course he can't, like, drink the whole thing, otherwise he goes into a sugar shock, which happens.
Yeah. It's, man, the amount of stuff that just lines up in this film.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of, like, the small problems I have with their actual heist. It's that the heist itself is so smart, like everything that they lay out, and you see them laying out so many parts of the plan. However, the whole, like, theme of this is that the Logan family is horribly unlucky. Mm-hmm. The only way this plan of theirs works is if every single thing goes perfectly right, 100%, and they're not relying on themselves, they're relying on the X factors of everyone they're trying to, like, con, going along at the exact pace and everything that they want. Like, they have to break out of there, so they spend weeks in shop class in prison building, like, these giant container things, these giant wood crates to put underneath the trucks that go in and out of the prison, and then when they're finally able to escape, they get into these little things, hatch them onto the bottom of this truck, fold it back up, and then they just hold on underneath, so that then when the guards outside use the mirrors to look underneath the car to see if anybody's there, it just looks like the underside of the car. It's like, okay, that's brilliant. But then they had to have known the exact gas station that they were going to stop at on their way out, and they would have to rely then on them arriving at that gas station at the exact time that they planned on them arriving, because the getaway driver is there at that gas station waiting for them to arrive so that they can then pop out of there. It's like, man, that is making a couple of big assumptions for this plan to go down.
And it's like the whole thing is, like you said, the whole point is that this family is cursed, they're unlucky. So it's like, wow, this is going, like, a little too smoothly, and then that's kind of when shit starts falling apart.
But, like, it doesn't even fall apart that much, I felt like.
No, not really.
Because there comes one moment during this heist in which you're like, that's the family curse. But then it turns out that was part of the plan as well. And that's my problem. I feel like they needed to play along with the idea of this family being cursed a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like, maybe they realized that their family is cursed, so it's like, okay, so, like,
use
maybe
it to their advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an interesting theory. Like, let's screw this up on purpose, so that way we can then do this other thing. It's like, that's an interesting approach to it. But yeah, I wish that had kind of, it almost feels like the curse and all that kind of gets dropped early on from this story. Yeah. So I wish that had been kind of a more recurring thing throughout here. Like, I would like to have seen these guys have to think on their feet. Right. Which you never really see them thinking on their feet, because everything has been planned out so much in this. And it is a damn impressive plan that they got. It is. But, like, one of the things that they had to plan out was, in order to get Daniel Craig and Adam Driver out of prison, which, by the way, to get Daniel Craig out of the prison, they had to get Adam Driver into the prison. So they just have him go, all right, let's do this. And he drives his car straight into a gas station. and then just gets out of the car, goes up to the register, and just starts paying for stuff. It is such a great, like, the beats and the timing of all the jokes in here are like, they might not make you laugh out loud, but they're really darn good still. But again, speaking of like them having to rely on like luck, it was like, okay, he will then be sentenced to this prison. But there's a moment in which he's on trial for this, and he's like, well, you say that you just forgot your foot was on the gas, or you accidentally slipped and you put on the gas, and considering your service to this country, I'm only going to give you 90 days. And all I could think was, what would have happened if the judge was way more lenient on you, or way stricter on you? Like, okay, if he was way stricter, you'd still have been in prison at the time when you needed to break him out of prison. But what if he was so lenient on you that he was like, oh, you know what, in honor of your service, only 30 days. Then you would have been out of prison before the deadline was up in which you had to break him out of the jail.
Well, isn't that the whole reason why they had to like bump up the schedule a week?
No, the reason they had to bump up the schedule is because the people on the construction
Oh yeah,
site,
that's right, they finished up real quick.
Which that was part of the curse. I was kind of like, okay, that's something, that was a good example of them having thing in their feet. But it was like, okay, well, what if that hadn't happened? Because if that happens, you can still like, okay, if that happens, then okay, we bump up the schedule. But what if they were on schedule and it was still going to be done in 5 weeks, but then they only sent Adam Driver to 4 weeks in there? It's like, okay, again, you're making big assumptions, but then also the way that they break out of the prison, part of it relies on the fact that there was like a water, a chemical contamination, a water contamination there that had been making people sick, so that way Daniel Craig was able to pretend to be sick, and they were able to go, okay, it's all because of this thing. And it was like, okay, well, again, that's kind of lucky on you. But
like they did mention like the water contamination when they first visited him.
Okay,
so,
that's fair.
So maybe they were
You know what, that's fair. Yeah. I didn't remember that's when they mentioned it. But the guy who's the warden there, he never wants to admit anything is wrong at the place.
Yeah.
So they're constantly like, okay, well, it's time for this. It's time for this. And he's like, nope, that never happened. We're not calling for help. We're not reporting this. We're not calling anybody in on this. And it's like, if at any point during any of this he had said, all right, you know what, screw it. Yeah, let's call in someone else to handle this thing, the plan would have gone bust like that. So again, it's a lot of them relying on other people to kind of behave the way that they just kind of assume that they would.
Like maybe the reason why they rely on other people is because they can't rely on themselves because of the family curse.
Oh no, that's not, you know, this plan, they're still relying on themselves. This plan, the only way that it works is if other people like happen to like line up with the way they thought. That's what I mean. Relying on other people because they're afraid of the family curse would be, let's hire these other guys to do the heist for us. They are relying completely on luck for this thing to pay off, which in a weird way kind of is part of the charm of like, you're a family that's known for being unlucky and you have to rely on luck for this thing to work out. It's like, okay, I kind of see like some charm there, but it also does make you kind of question at points. It's like, what was the backup plan on this in case this didn't work? Because we see a lot of stuff just happening to work. And the way that they sneak Adam Driver and Daniel Craig back into the prison so they can say that they never left the prison is they dress up like firefighters and they have to have the inmates start a fire. And then the guy there is like, there are no fires at my prison. None. We're not calling the fire department in. And I just thought, what would have happened if he hadn't called the fire department in? What would have happened if he just went in there with a bucket of water himself and just, there, done, out. And it's like, okay, I don't know, what was the backup plan for this? Because there's a moment which he lists out like his entire step-by-step of how he does everything, and one was make plans, make backup plans, make backup plans. And I thought, what were the backup plans? Because it really seems like a lot of this just happened to go very smoothly. The only time in which something doesn't go smoothly is Adam Driver lost his arm in Vietnam, which really good, not Vietnam.
Iraq.
Jeez. That was weird. Wow.
No.
But my apologies for everything. But he lost his arm in the Iraq War, and there's a moment in which they are sucking all this money up. They're sucking it all up into this tube and then just dumping it in the trash bags. And then the thing goes out of control because they cranked the power up on it too high. So like, all right, well, turn in reverse so we can suck all this money up because it's blowing the money into the air. He sucks it into reverse. and sucks Adam Driver's arm clean off.
Yeah, the
in the
prosthetic arm.
Yeah. He didn't lose his other arm thanks to this.
No!
Then it became a Twilight Zone episode. But yeah, it sucks his prosthetic arm up. And then they actually start getting into a fight with this, which was another funny scene in here. And Channing Tatum says, listen, I'll find the arm for you. It's like, if they find that arm, then they're gonna be breaking down the door of my cell. Which I love the way that Adam Driver talks in here, because he's not just Southern, he's Southern twang. He takes the time to pronounce every single word. Even when he's in an argument and angry and freaking out with his brother, he takes his time to say every word out, and is like, God damn, he never lost that, and I love it. It shows how well he captured that accent. Because yeah, I grew up around those people. Even when they're mad, they still speak at that exact same pace, taking time to say every single syllable. But it's like, they're gonna be breaking down the doors of my cell if they find my arm. And he's like, don't worry, I'm gonna stick around, I'm gonna get. And then he has to send everybody else out. There's like, go on, I gotta stay here so I can get this arm, clean all this up. So one by one, he sends everybody out there. And at the end of this film, he turns all the money back into the casino. Not the casino, man. I'm mixing this up with Ocean's 11. Full disclosure, I've gotten 5 hours sleep in the last 48 hours. I'm a little bit loopy right now. And apparently I'm confusing one movie for another and wars from 4 different decades altogether. So at the end of this, he just turns all the money back in, and I was like, why did he do that? I mean, like, there's a moment after they rob the place, he sees his daughter singing the West Virginia song up there on stage at this pageant that she's been preparing for this entire time. I was like, did that make him realize I need to be a dad and not a thief? Because this was supposed to be like your last hurrah.
Yeah.
So doesn't it seem like you could still do both and keep the money and still just stop being a thief and be a dad now? It seems kind of weird, but I turned it in, and then at the end of this, like, you're seeing everybody being pissed that they do not have that money now. But then they call in Hilary Swank as like this character who I wish had been in way more of the film.
Yeah.
Because she's the FBI agent who's after them, and she is so like just firm and proper
and very determined.
And like her suit, not only is it fully buttoned as far up as you can go, like choking her almost. It's also like the most well-pressed outfit I've ever seen, like just perfectly summed up in one shot, like, oh, I know who she is. Yeah, she is very much, I'm here to do this job. I am going to get the bad guy. I was like, this is an entire movie in and of itself. I kind of wish that this was 2 films.
Right.
The first one being the lead up to the heist and the heist. The second one, just her after these guys. Like, I know this didn't do very well, but you could easily do a spin-off based entirely around this brand new character. Then as we watch it, anybody who saw Logan Lucky goes, wait a second, is this taking place as a sequel to that film? Like, you don't have to advertise it as that. You can advertise it as just being a funny story about this overly stuck-up FBI agent after these guys who robbed a NASCAR event. Not until you're halfway through the film that anybody who saw this film goes, oh, wait a second. Which it kind of almost ends on...
Yeah, it did kind of like end like that.
It almost... Also, the fact that it is Hilary Swank in this role that just pops up at the end does almost make it feel like they were like, no, we got plans. We're gonna do another thing after this. And the great thing about that is that because this didn't do well at theaters, if you have it starring a completely different character with a completely different background, doing a completely different thing, you don't have to pitch it like a sequel. So no studio is going to look at that and go, yeah, well, that didn't do well, so we're not gonna do this. Just pitch it without ever once mentioning to them, oh yeah, this is a sequel to that film. And then we're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're Steven Soderbergh, we'll totally do that. Which, by the way, the writer of this, I keep giving Steven Soderbergh a lot of credit because he got some great performances out of these actors. The writer, Rebecca Blunt, I think her name was, great job. Really clever how she was able to set all this stuff up. Like I said, I do feel like they kind of relied on luck a little bit too much in here, but yeah, I'm always impressed with heist films when they can do that thing that makes you go, oh, I see. And yeah, at the end of this film, after he turns the money in, you see the raceway is like, yeah, we got insurance money for all that money that was stolen from us, and we got the stolen money back. so you know what, it's kind of cool. You don't have to keep investigating this. We're gonna be just fine. You don't have to keep looking into this. Like, the NASCAR place was so corrupt that they were just like, it's totally fine. It's good. And that's one of those things in which it's like, again, you're kind of relying on these other people to behave the way you assume they would. But I think that was kind of a safe bet, that a big business would go, oh wait, we're gonna get double money? It's fine. You don't have to keep looking into this at all. But then it's revealed, after he sent everybody off, Channing Tatum and Adam Driver just continued stealing more and more money. Then they hid inside of there the bags that they piled up after everyone else left. And then Channing Tatum went back in there after all this was over with and got the bags that he didn't return to them. So basically he stole extra money, but because they got all that money back in the truck, they were able to go, oh, I guess this is all the money.
And he found a prosthetic arm too.
And he did find it, but that's the thing. It almost feels like they screwed up and sucked in the prosthetic arm on purpose, so Channing Tatum and Adam Driver would have an excuse to stick around after he sent everyone else off. We have to stick around to look for this arm. It's like, that's really damn smart. They do do one thing in here though that I thought they could have set up a little bit better, which is there's a moment in which these two security guards are looking to see what's happening at the NASCAR place, because suddenly there's smoke coming out of all the little money tubes, and also all of their ATM machines just died, so everyone has to pay cash at all the concession stands, which that was a great scene there of when they two idiot brothers had to blow up the thing that read all the credit card machines, in which they were reading instructions on how to create a bomb, and they're just like, pour jar 1 into jar 2.
It's like, by
now
the way,
jar 2 into jar 3. Run.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, the two idiot brothers, but like, the older brother, what was his name again?
Channing Tatum?
No,
Oh, you mean,
yeah, the guy was in prison,
Daniel Craig, okay.
Yeah, it's like, he's actually a bomb expert.
Oh,
so.
this scene.
Yes.
This scene was awesome.
So, like, he had to, like, make a bomb to, like, blow up the vault so they could suck all the money out. So it's like, all right, I need gummy bears, I need bleach, and I need all this.
He's not even saying all that stuff to us.
He's like,
he just goes like the concession stand, like, let me get 2 packs of them gummy bears.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, so he just likes gummy bears or something. Yeah, but then when he gets in there and he's like, okay, you got the stuff I asked for? It's like, yep, here's 2 packs of bleach, here's this thing, here's this thing. It's like, all right, and then he just starts pouring it all in the bag. Then he pours the gummy bears in. Then he takes this salt, this like low sodium salt that they give him in prison because of his heart condition, and he starts pouring that all in there, and then he twists up the bag, and he's like, you're the bomb expert, where's the bomb? This is the bomb. How many yards away is the vault? And I was like, that's not a bomb, it's just a random collection of stuff. It's like, we can't use an actual bomb. They would have checked it when we came into the place. This is what we have to use. How is that bomb? It's the potassium. Hold on.
And then you just like cut to him like drawing on the wall like all
with chalk.
With chalk, like the chemical like formulas.
Yeah, we keep talking about how all these guys kind of seem stupid because they're so incompetent at everything. But man, the moment in which push comes to shove, in which they go, this is why I'm the expert on this thing, it's like, oh fuck, this guy is really smart. And it's not like a thing that comes out of nowhere. Like, you buy it. He went to prison for being like a bomb expert.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this guy would know how to turn gummy bears into an explosion. So yeah, that was an amazing gag. And it leads up to what is probably my second favorite joke in this entire thing, when they have to put this gummy bear into a tube, suck it into the tube machine, and then they just run out of there and they're all hiding behind the walls. But then the tube comes down and it gets caught and it just says error, error. And then they're looking at us like, what the is
and then
and Adam Driver kind of pokes his head out and it shoots the thing back out and it hits him in the chest and it's just in there, and everyone's like, just be cool. I was like, oh my god, this is the moment in which everything goes wrong and this film gets dark. This has been like a fun thing, but I know how these heist films work. One person always doesn't make it out of the heist. Adam Driver's probably the most likable guy among them because Channing Tatum very likable, but he did come up with the idea to rob the bank. Adam Driver was like, well, I guess I gotta go along with what my brother's making me do.
Like, the dispensable one.
Yeah, and also he's the one who had to get sent to prison for this. I was like, yeah, you kind of feel sorry for Adam Driver the most out of anyone. So it would kind of make sense if he died, because it would probably have the biggest emotional reaction from us. And then Daniel Craig comes up and is like, don't breathe. All right, it's cool, it's cool. He opens it very slowly, looks inside. Oh, I know what I did. I tied the twisted bag too tight. Okay, there we go. Shoves it back in and then blows. We both gasped at that moment. When it came out and it hit Adam Driver in the chest, we were both like, no! Oh. Like, we were like cringing, like we didn't want to breathe for fear that we would kill him.
This is like one of those moments where I wish I was in theaters with an audience.
It so is. Like I said, a lot of the jokes in here, they didn't make me laugh out loud, but I know if I was in a theater full of people all cracking up at this film, I probably would have found this to be the funniest movie of the year. A lot of time, audiences' reactions will alter your reactions, and that is truer more than anything with comedies. If you're in a room full of people laughing, it will make you find something way funnier. I thought all the jokes in here were really good, but only like 4 or 5 of them got like really good laughs out of me. I probably would have been like gasping for air in a theater full of people laughing at this thing, because it's so like every joke is on that cusp of like, oh, it's so good. Speaking of which, the best joke in this entire thing, the best joke of the whole year, hands down, the best joke. Daniel Craig, in order to cause the prison to go into lockdown mode, so that way he can then be outside of where the lockdown is. It's this very complicated thing. Basically, he has to force the prison to go into lockdown mode. He gets these other prisoners to fake a riot in there. And there's a moment in which the warden is on the microphone with them as they have locked up the cafeteria. They've got guards like taped up and wrapped up so they can't escape. They're like holding them hostage, and the warden is on the microphone with them and like, all right, as a warden, I have the authority to get you the latest Game of Thrones book added to the library. However, I can't get you, and they list off the 2 upcoming Game of Thrones books, and then they're all like, oh, and then one of them goes up there on the mic and goes, according to the release date, George R.R. Martin was supposed to turn that into his publicist 2 years ago. I understand that, but he has been delayed. It also says here that he has had a very hectic studio release with all the TV shows and very hectic, oh god, what was the term they used? Publicity campaign. It was like, man, but those 2 guys who just transferred in here last week, they knew all about that hot chick and the dragon. I understand that, but I believe what they're referencing is the TV show. And then everybody just goes going, oh, again, like, guys, the TV show has gone beyond the books at this point. I can't give you something that hasn't come out yet. I'm just reading the Wikipedia article here. It's like, I laughed throughout that entire thing. I was aching from laughter at that scene. That is the best joke of the year. I love that moment. So yeah, this is an insanely clever film, not just in the way that it sets up the heist, because even though I do have the problem that they rely a lot on stuff just kind of working out, still, it's not like a 5-part plan. It's like a 20-part plan. Yeah. It's impressive how much stuff they set up in this film. And also, yeah, so I find it clever for that, but I also find it clever because, goddamn, the writing is just so smart. These are such good characters. Such good, like, they're just cartoonish enough to be memorable and exaggerated, but not so cartoonish that you don't look at them as being possible. Yeah. Like, yeah, I know people like this. A good metaphor for it is the competition of the dunking for
pig's feet.
Yeah, the dunking for pig's feet is like, I've never seen that, but I've seen stuff just close enough to that that I totally believe it's real. And yeah, it's like, it's that much of an exaggeration. Like, here's what I've seen, here's what this film is. It's like that much right there. It's like, yeah, that is like the perfect amount to go just one step over to make this all comedically crazy. got anything else to say about this? Because yeah, we have talked a lot about this. I've heard a lot of people talking about how like the message of family in here is a big thing, and like the message of like fathers and children. And I was like, I don't really think that.
Yeah, I did not really get that sense.
I didn't get that at all from this thing.
I mean, it's like, yeah, he was like good to his daughter, and he wanted to take care of his brother, but it's like
That's it.
Yeah, it's like that's like way in the background.
That is in the background.
Yeah, it felt more like trying to like redeem himself from the family curse more than anything.
Yeah,
like, getting revenge on the world because he keeps getting screwed over.
Yeah, that's the really kind of the interesting thing in this, is that they're not, it's next to impossible to look at them as bad people, even though they're criminals, because like, okay, he kind of has a reason that he needs this. He's stealing from a big organization that he knows the insurance will end up covering. He then gives almost all the money back. He only keeps just enough of the money for like everybody to be like, you know what, this was worth it.
Yeah, it's like he pays back everyone who helped him out, which was like really...
That's the best part.
Yeah.
He pays back everyone who helped him on this, and not like the people who he went up to and was like, I need you as part of our crew. The people he took advantage of and kind of relied on them kind of getting into a shitty situation in order for this to work out. Because there's a lady at the bank, in order for, which this is another one of those things that's like, this was kind of matched up too well. There's a lady at the bank, they send a cake to her. She's like, well, I don't know, it's not my birthday. I don't know why people are doing it, but fine, someone wants to send the cake. And then they all start eating cake, but they're eating the cake in like the bank vault to celebrate. And then she gets called away because someone smashed into her car. It was a hit and run. And then when she comes back, it's like, oh, I didn't get to finish my cake. And then you see that the bank door has closed and it's an automatic lock, so it's closed for the day, so the cake is trapped inside. Then the two idiot brothers go underground from the bank to all the tubes that basically lead into the ventilation system, and they start dumping all these bugs in there. The next day when the bank vault opens, she goes inside. Bugs are now swarming all over the cake. And I was like, okay, that's really smart, except how the fuck did you know that the bugs were, that they were gonna keep the cake in the vault? Like, how do you know they were going to eat the cake in the vault? That seems like a very weird thing for them to do, but your plan specifically requires the cake to have been in the bank vault so that when she got distracted and left, she would get back after the vault doors closed, so she wouldn't be able to take the cake home, meaning all the bugs would be seen the next morning. It's like, there's a lot that you are riding on right there. Like, if she literally just said, hey, let's all just have this here in the break room.
Yeah, like...
I'm assuming banks have break rooms. I'm assuming people aren't eating their sandwiches and their lunch inside the vault. It's like sitting on top of a stack of money while eating a Subway sandwich. Why does this 20 you gave me have ketchup on? That's weird. So yeah, again, there's a lot of things in here which is like, man, you're really kind of relying on luck on this one.
But, you know...
in a weird way, that does add to the charm of like...
Yeah, I mean, the title is Logan Lucky, so...
And it's a family that's known for being unlucky. But again, it doesn't feel like they could have played it up a little bit more to me.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, just have somebody point out, like, well, what happens if they don't do this? And it's like, you know, mention these backup plans among backup plans that you said that you're going to have. You know,
like,
something
is it even like want to give away the surprise ending, I guess, or like?
Is there a surprise that we haven't talked about?
No, I meant like, I mean, I felt like they didn't want to give away the reveal of the backup plans, which is why they didn't discuss them.
Well, I don't mean for that. I don't mean the backup plan of like, how is he going to actually get money out of them? I mean backup plans of, what happens if this goes wrong? Well, in that case, we'll just do this. Like, I mean that. I mean, what happens if something goes wrong? I would like for them to say, like, this is what we have planned. But then at the same time, I understand if you have someone in a heist talking about that, it then takes away from the tension of the heist, because then you're like, well, if this doesn't work, then I know the next thing will be okay. But again, it is one of those things like, maybe like after they had done some of this, said like, well, what would have happened if they had done that instead? And then say like, well, they had done that, then I would have just done this. Something like that. That's all that I really needed in here. Because yeah, there's a lot of relying on people who aren't part of this plan to do exactly what they assume they will. But yeah, like I said, the fact that they like give money to everybody in here, because I felt bad for the guy in prison who started like the little like riot thing, because I was like, okay, what's he going to get out of all of this? Because he's just agreeing to help you guys out. But then when he gets out of prison, he's got a limo waiting on him and an envelope full of money. And then also, like we said, the lady at the bank, when she goes out to her car, there's just a box there, the same box that like her cake came in, and it's loaded with money inside. I was like, okay, good, they got something. Although that does remind me of another problem I had with this thing. There was a moment in which Channing Tatum is at a gas station and he sees this woman who runs like a mobile medical clinic, and it's like a charitable organization, like that's non-profit. They just go from place to place giving medical service to people who can't get. And then they're talking, it's like, oh yeah, we were in high school together, and like he's trying to remember her and all this stuff. And then at the very end of the movie, this is like half an hour into the film, at the very end of the movie, he just gives her an envelope full of cash too, and all I could think was, I forgot you were in this film. Like part of me wishes that she had been in this more, because then why have her in here at all unless she is going to add something to this? But then I feel like she would have taken away from everything else going on in this film. Then that would have been like a subplot about their relationship forming, and I didn't really care about having that. Like, I think everything that we have in this film is really good as it is. So it's one of those weird things like, well, maybe she just shouldn't have been in this film at all. Because if you're going to put her in here for only one scene, only to have her come back at the end, it doesn't really add much to this movie.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like goes, yeah, remember that? No.
You know, maybe like trying to prove a point, like, hey, this guy is nice. He helped this lady, and like.
But that's the thing. He did that with the bank vault lady. He did that with that guy that was in prison that was helping him out. I was like, I'm sure there's like another third person along the way that they ended up screwing over that he could have sent a giant apology envelope full of money to. Yeah, you could have done that with another person if you needed 3 to happen, but yeah, it's very weird that they were like, yeah, let's give him a relationship here at the end. Like, that wasn't in here at all, but at the same time, I'm glad it wasn't in here at all, but then why bring it up here at the end? It's, yeah.
You know, maybe it's like to, like, show that he's trying to move on, like, because he, like I said before, he's a divorced dad, so, like. I
guess, but.
Or maybe, like, prove that, like, maybe he broke the curse because he finally got a girl or some shit like that. I don't know.
I don't know. He was a football star in high school. We know he's gotten girls before.
Yeah.
He has a daughter. We know he's gotten girls before. But yeah, so overall, I really was impressed by this film. I'm not even the biggest Steven Soderbergh fan, as you can tell because I've been mispronouncing his name the whole time. Steven Soderbergh, not Soderbergh.
Not Soderbergh.
Not Soderbergh. Yeah, he's one of those guys that, like, he's a critic darling. Like, people love him. Like, people love his stuff so much. I've always just kind of thought of his stuff as being okay. I've never been a huge fan. I dug the hell out of this film, and like I could really look at this and be like, yeah, he is getting amazing performances out of these people. So yeah, let us know what you guys thought in the comments down below. We only have a few more of these left to go, and they're all depressing as hell. But if you want to see a more fun, upbeat version of The Quest for Best, we're also doing the Gauntlet of Garbage, in which we are looking at all the films that people call the worst of the year, and this is all leading up to our countdown of our 10 favorite films and our 10 least favorite films of the year at the end of this month. So thank you guys for tuning in. Come back next time. Bye.